Welcome to the broadcast. Today we are highlighting the YouTube channel JC Dubs, headed by Jaden Camacho-White. What makes this channel unique is the larger movements it spawned. On the school platform, Jaden has founded the Digital Renaissance Creators Community and the Small YouTuber Monetization movement. His goal, turning spiritual creators into spiritual entrepreneurs via coaching and educational content. He is here today to share ideas, create communities, and provide purposeful productivity. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jaden Camacho-White. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing very, very well, Yusuf. Thank you for that intro. It was a very good one. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you for coming on board. So wanted to discuss a few things. How did you exactly come up with this? I believe I saw one video where you thought about this very young, if I'm right. Elaborate on that.
Okay. So, well, I'll say this. I've always been interested in doing big things, right? I've always felt called for that. And so at 5, 6 years old, I was thinking about business, right? I was thinking about having a company. And on February 24th, 2012, hit upload for my first YouTube video. I've been in love ever since.
Right?
And I've had a difficult journey with YouTube, to say the least. A lot of inconsistency over the last 11 years. But back in December, I knew I wanted to really take it seriously. I knew that this was for me. I was a year out of college, so I went to college for a year. Wasn't feeling it. I was like, nah. I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted. I knew two things: school wasn't it, and I wanted to do YouTube. Everything else, didn't know. But I knew that. And so I'm from New Jersey. I left my homestead in New Jersey. I moved down to Georgia with my dad. And I was like, I'm gonna find myself. I'm gonna find it. And it was a hard journey. It was a long journey. It was a dark one. And I had a lot of ups and downs. And I had a lot of I had points where, I would rise and I'd feel good about it, and I would learn and I would grow. And then I'd fall and I'd feel like, well, I'm right back at the same spot again. And for a long time, it didn't really make any sense. And I kind of, I found Humza's content, Humza Ahmed, in early November. And I just instantly fell in love with the dude. His message was very, I really got behind wanting to make men more masculine again. I felt like that was something that had been a big part of my life. I grew up mainly with women. And although I have my dad in my life, my parents were never together, so I didn't spend much time with my dad. And so I felt like that main masculine figure in my life, I didn't have that as much. And I felt like I didn't actually realize this, but for the first 19 years of my life, I was a lot more feminine than I would have liked to be. And not that I'm not in touch with my feminine side. I'm a much more feminine guy than most guys, and I'm very in touch with that. But I wasn't embracing my masculine. And I realized that, and Humza showed me that. And I started really getting behind his message. A month later, I actually found school because of Humza. And I joined his school platform, Adonis School. And that's really the start of my business journey. Humza taught me my business model. He taught me my YouTube philosophy. And although I wasn't completely aligned with everything Humza said, which is why I eventually left Adonis School after a few months, it was easily the best investment I ever made. And so after I left in March, I was still trying to figure things out. I was actually trying to get into videography. Funnily enough, this is actually a shirt by one of the clients I tried to get into. He's an entrepreneur. His name is Rich Anderson. And I tried to do some stuff with him, but I saw that videography just wasn't for me. I liked being behind the camera, but I didn't really like shooting business events. I love filmmaking, but filmmaking is art, And so I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to be in the video business. And I had this inkling. I'm like, Jay, you love helping people. You know it. And so it's why are you not just doing this? I want to be the person God wants me to be, And I felt like I wasn't for a long time. And I realized that it was because I was trying to do things without God. And I was like, oh, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And now I'm at this point where, on May 15th, I was dropping some inconsistent videos, April and May. And I got this comment from a pretty loyal, consistent subscriber who had been showing me a bunch of love on May 15th. And he said, hey bro, like this was a super good video, and he commented about the video, but he was like, I want to challenge you to like push more and like upload more. Like I know you've done it, you have value to provide. Like what's the net negative? I'm like, bro, that's real. It's like I really appreciate that push. And I was like, I think I said something to him about like wanting to hop on a call with him because I had some self-doubts and I wanted to, just try to talk to a friend. And he was like, if you're losing yourself to self-doubt, no. If you need an external push, you're already losing yourself to self-doubt. Start today.
Yep.
And from that day, May 15th, I haven't missed a day of daily uploads.
Awesome.
And since that, I started 69 subscribers. I'm currently at 743. And today I just signed my 7th coaching client.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, brother.
I was listening to your story too, and I was doing some research. If I'm right, and I think what makes this story unique is the fact that you have never really had a 9-to-5 job. Like you've kind of like been wanting to do this, and you just made this your passion. So is that right?
Yeah, basically. I've had about a year of job experience in my life. So I'm 20. I've had about a year total.
Okay.
And thing is, growing up, I've always been an observer. And I saw what my grandparents were doing. I saw what my dad was doing. I was like, I don't want that. And so the 9-to-5 was never for me. Never. I told you, I was 5 years old thinking about business. And so awesome. It's like, that's where I'm at. Like, funnily enough, so I was actually when I came down here, that most of my year of job experience was actually from July to February. I was actually working for my stepmom in her business. She had recently hurt herself, and she basically gets these contracts from insurance companies, and she goes out, does like inspections, takes some pictures, send them back. Real simple. So I was basically just being her cameraman. I was going to the places, I was taking the pictures. It was fine and it was dandy. It was boring as all hell. So I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I crashed her car in February, and that was my last day. Ever since then, I haven't been employed. And about halfway through May, actually, third week of May, my dad and stepmom sit me down. They're like, "Yo, Jay, I know you're trying to like do this business thing. We love that. That's awesome. But you don't have any income. Like, you got to get a job." And so they're like, "We're going to give you 3 months." So I'm like, 3 months. So in my head, I'm hearing, okay, I got 3 months to make it in business. Cool. So that's what I did.
And is that what you did?
I mean, I've made $1,000 in the last 9 days, so I think so.
And you see, that's what I love about this new generation of creators, because they've challenged themselves to not only just make money, but really create a career based on a larger community. Exactly what you're doing, right?
100%.
You have exactly, and that's something I don't think this economy or this nation has ever seen. And that's what I love about this. It's almost like you're not corrupted. You know what I mean? You're not like you never had to deal with an asshole boss.
We don't have the conditioning.
Yeah, and that's something oh my God, like when I first started seeing YouTube videos on what I do, people doing PPC and paid advertising, I was like, I don't know what that is, but that's for me. And I just started doing, okay, how do I make videos and how do I do this? I'm not saying I'm the best, but each video is a little bit stronger, right? Each one's a little bit better, and that's what makes it great. And I think what you're doing is the fact that you're creating this awesome community that's a very long-term engagement, right? Like so
100%.
So let's exactly. And you're not looking for a fast buck. You're looking to help people and evolve them and take them on this really life journey. Like, and that's just something that I think Tim Robbins does, but no one was able, they saw it and they weren't able to extrapolate that out. And I think that's what I love. That's the one thing I love about you. And I haven't seen it with anybody else. I see it here and there. But not to the evolution that you did. And I think there's 2 reasons. A, you weren't corrupted. You didn't have to work at Burger King like me. And I could give a shit. I don't care if people do or if they don't. But that knocks you down, man. You know what I mean? It's
definitely
that. You know what I mean? You're like conditioned, like, okay, I guess I gotta, and that's fine. It's very humbling. It's the most humbling process in the world to go work at Burger King. But it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. But it's almost like these steps, right? So you work at Burger King, and then you have a boss or a job. You don't want to do that, right? But eventually you want to go to another job. You want to go to like a career. But guess what, man? You have a boss you don't like. You have clients you can't stand. It's almost like this weird like leveling, and it's like, who wants that,
it is.
But what I love about you is that you said, F this.
Let's just bypass the whole shit.
Yeah. And you're working with people who are hand raising. You're working with people who are coming to you and saying, man, I'm just not where I want to be in this life. And that I'm going to talk about that right now. We're going to actually talk about that portion because you take it to a very spiritual inner core area that, I'm sorry, most influencers are not doing. So where did that come from? Okay, so when I introduced you, I said, I believe it was a spiritual creators.
Spiritual creators into spiritual entrepreneurs. That's what I say at the start of every one of my videos.
So where on earth did that come from?
This book, The Way to Superior Man, this was the catalyst. So I grew up Christian, and so I've always had like a spiritual essence, but I never really resonated with the religion, honestly. And that's a whole nother conversation. We're not going to talk about that. But I've always been very spiritual. I've always felt that there was something more. And so I read The Way to Superior Man because of Humza, actually. The Way to Superior Man was kind of like the gospel of Adonis School. Right. And so I read the book because of Humza, and it just absolutely just opened my mind to so many things, like what, like purpose, what a man's role is in the world, understanding the masculine and the feminine energy, how to understand a woman. Like when I tell you, like, that book opened my eyes to like how to be a better man, how to serve the world better, how to serve women better, just how to be a better person. It did so much for me. And that was like the real seed, because it allowed me to like, it brought me to this understanding of like the masculine and feminine energies. And before that, I didn't understand these like esoteric concepts. And because of that, I didn't have like this knowledge to like, I didn't have this foundation that I'm at now. So back in July, actually, I started watching this YouTuber named Dr. K, Healthy Gamer GG. And Dr. K is amazing. I love his stuff because he's all about bringing spiritual concepts and science together, to like create like the best vehicle to improving your mental health and living a better life. That's what Dr. K is all about. I love his mission. And so I started watching his stuff back in July, and I was very into his like spiritual concepts because, like I told you, I've always been spiritual, but I wasn't as tapped into it then. Way to Superior Man planted that seed in me in December. And I think it was about, so the last week of January, all of February, and then the first 2 weeks of March, I just spent like completely in a haze. I was just like, time is just flying. And I woke up and I'm just like, 2.5 months of my year are already gone. What is happening? And I kind of got to this point where I was like, I want to move to New York City, right? And that was my goal, to move to New York City by December 24 was my goal in December 23. And I kind of woke up and I was like, I just spent 2.5 months doing nothing. What the fuck? And I think it took me about a month and a half to really realize why. And I hinted on it earlier, but I was at the park one day and I've been trying to do it alone. I've been trying to do it without God. And it was like, wow. And that was like such a big like shift for me. And now I'm like, I'm all about God. Like, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, right? And so like, I'm nothing without God, right? I wouldn't have what I have without him. And I know that because I tried to do it before without him, nothing worked. And now I'm doing it with him and everything's happening crazily. That's not coincidence. And so like, these spiritual concepts changed my life. So I bring them to other people because I see raising the collective as my purpose.
Yeah. When it comes to small business, I kind of say it's like the military. And when you're in the military, you are religious. there is no atheist in a foxhole, right? And I kind of feel like in small business, you have to believe. Like it's kind of strange. Being an
Mm.
entrepreneur, you have to believe. Like
You
you
do.
know you do, and it's like that's what religion is. So the fact you were able to put these two, I mean, maybe not religion, but
Yeah.
faith,
Right.
and
Right.
and small business together to say this is the combo. That
Hmm.
is a combo no one talks about. Like no one ever says, you have to have a good belief system, and not just their family, but because we're going to go on this entrepreneurship journey. It's tough out there, man.
I was gonna say this, like, purposeful productivity. That's my philosophy. That is rooted in spirituality. It is you will work harder, work more, and produce better work if you are working for something that you love and you believe in. This is not like this is just the truth.
Yeah.
Like I was doing videography a couple months ago. I actually did my last videography shoot a couple weeks ago. And I was actually very resistant. My guy hit me up, not this guy Rich, but another guy Joe, and he had hit me up, and I literally just recorded my entire, like, the purposeful productivity course. I actually just recorded it, and so I spent 25 hours recording 20 videos, which was fun. And Joe hit me up and he's like, "Yo, Joe, like, Jay, can you come to this event and shoot it for me?"
Right.
Honestly, like, I wanted to just say no, you know what I mean? And it's like, one, I knew I have this thing that I'm doing now, my coaching business, which I love and I want to do. I just spent the last day talking about purposeful productivity. Of course I need to do this, right? And so I'm like, I told Joe no. And that was kind of a whole situation. I actually ended up doing the event because I didn't necessarily feel right with the fact that I said no. And this is like another conversation, like growing up as a people pleaser, which is why I felt hesitant to say yes in the first place. But I felt like I chose me because I said no to Joe twice. But I still felt bad about the situation because it was affecting his business. And I saw that later. And so after I went to the event, it was good. But I just, after doing that event, it's just like, I was at that event for like 3 hours. I had spent the whole day recording 20 videos. I would have rather recorded 10 more videos than shot that event because I know I'm serving my people. This is what I want to do, so I do it. Like, I was telling this to my client Lala, who I just signed today. She was asking me like about like daily uploads and volume. I was like, you have to find what works for you, Lala. I don't upload daily videos because I'm disciplined. I do it because it's fun.
Yes.
I love it. So I do it. And like, you have to find out what's fun for you. You got to find out what works for you. And that's what, like, in my opinion, like, purposeful entrepreneurship, being in a business where you're serving people you want to serve, that's the only way to be in business, in my opinion. Because like we were talking about, business is hard. Business is hard enough. Why would you be in a business where you don't want to work?
Taking it back from like to the actual, well, your offerings, right? So you have this digital Renaissance creators community, but then you have this small YouTuber monetization movement. What are the differences? How did you create those two different communities? Why did you create two different communities? Why not just?
So one of them is actually my paid product, and one of them is a free community. So Digital Renaissance Creators is my paid community, which is like my creator entrepreneur community. It hosts my one-to-one coaching. So everyone that joins there is one of my clients. And that community is like the Digital Renaissance Creator. It's a vision, right? This is like an avatar, Digital Renaissance Creator. That's what I'm trying to sell. And so actually, I started Digital Renaissance Creators June 1st. And I started Small YouTuber Monetization to be like a funnel into DRC. And so I started Small YouTuber Monetization as a free community to funnel people from my YouTube to the school platform to get them used to school. And then as they were like used to school and I give them value in the free community, it's more likely that they buy. And this literally happened with one of my clients. I started my free community. My client Shawana, she joined up there. She actually joined up. I do like Sunday Q&As in there. She had a Q&A with me. We talked for like 30 minutes in there. She booked a free call with me as well for the next day. And then on Tuesday, like the day after that free call, she bought. It was honestly just another part for the funnel. But it's like it was mainly lead nurture and also so I can understand my market better. It was 1,000,000% like a move to become a better entrepreneur.
No, I think that's brilliant because I do the same thing. Like I have this YouTube channel, and then I have actually a WhatsApp group, and that's just for buyers. Just you have to be a buyer to get into it.
Yep.
And that's where it gets hardcore, right? We kind of get
Yeah.
like drop the
Mm-hmm.
hard questions, and if anything, I actually bounce ideas in there, just like you. Like I'm like,
Yep.
hey, what do
Mm-hmm.
you guys want to know? Like what's bothering you? Where are you struggling?
Yep.
Let's make a
Mm-hmm.
video on it, and that's exactly what I do. And
Yep.
I think it's only like it's not as high as yours. I think it's like 30, 40 people, but it's like my super fan group. And whenever I make a new video, I drop it in there and I see the views go woo, they go really high. So you have your so just so I can describe it right, you have your YouTube channel, right? Where you that's like your mass awareness vehicle, your upper funnel to get your general awareness out there, your intermediate school, which is the YouTube monetization school, and then you actually have the bottom piece, which is the most that's the cool piece that you want people to funnel into, which is the Renaissance community. So I get it. I wanted to talk about was struggles and where at what point when you started this journey. So I think you talked about like how hard it is to make YouTube videos. What was a real struggle point that you had one day, maybe for a weekend? You talked about faith. What's another one? Like where I'm sure you've had more than two. I would love to hear
Well,
them.
I struggled a lot with substances, weed, mainly, but so I got exposed to porn at 10 years old, and that was a struggle for a long time for me. So honestly, I was like I was basically dealing with that up until like a couple weeks ago. Um, and so uh, that was like my main struggle. I feel like basically kind of like overcoming myself. Really, in December, I basically knew why I was running. You know what I mean? Like there are reasons that we're turning to substances. It's because we're running from something. Now, if we don't know why we're running, then we're just still unaware. But if you do know why and you're still doing it, that's where you're fucked. And that's where I was for a long time. And it's hard to get out of there. And honestly, I think one, it takes small steps. I was talking to my boy Jake about this yesterday. When I actually first moved down here, I started like doing push-ups. I started with just like 10 a day, like 5 and 5. And then I moved on to the next day, 6, 6, 12. Next day, 7, 7, 14. Eventually I worked up to like 120 or so, right? And about 2 or 3 weeks in, I had this like new identity. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to show up and do the push-ups even though I don't feel like it. And that identity shift is so big. And I was talking to him about like the context of posting content consistently for like 2 weeks. After you do something consistently for 2 weeks, you can now call yourself like a consistent creator or whatever. You can now say you're consistent. And that identity shift is extremely powerful because, I mean, at the end of the day, self-image is what's holding us back, right? It's our limited beliefs. It's who we think we are. I didn't think I was better than anything else, so I didn't become better than anything else. And that was the truth. And now I don't believe that at all. Now I know that I have so many things that I can be actualizing. I know that I have the love and wisdom of God behind me, and that I'm just going to continuously give that. I know that I have. I know that I'm going to like. I really love this analogy. We start in a dark tunnel, and it's pitch black. We can't see a thing, and we're walking. We're just tiptoeing, and we're on the defensive because it's dark and we can't see. We don't want to trip. We don't want to fall. We don't want to bump into anything. And as we walk, right, we take in our slow steps. The light starts to glimmer, right? A small light starts to show. And this is like, oh, okay, I am on the right path. Let me keep walking. And we pick up our pace a bit. And as the pace continues, the light expands. And eventually we get to the point where the path is completely illuminated, right? And we're striding, we're fully running. But this only happens if you're willing to take the small steps in the dark. And what I like to reference this as is putting your blind faith in God. Blind faith. And I said this in the course actually, which is kind of like why it's coming up now again. And this was like in a different context. In that context, it was with ideas. I see creativity as like God sending us ideas to execute on. But he won't send you those ideas if you're not willing to blindly follow them. If you need a reason why, he's not going to want to do it. He don't want to always give you a reason why. Get over it.
Yeah.
And so if you're not willing to blindly follow what God's telling you to do, you're not going to get where you want to go. Because you can't get to the light if you're not walking in the dark.
I think that's something that a lot of people have a problem with, right? Like, so we talked about faith and we talked about mentorship. And one of the things I've noticed a lot of small business owners don't do is they don't take themselves seriously. It's almost like they put themselves down you know, and it's like, oh, I'm just a small business owner and, you know, whatever. Like, no, you're not.
You're
You're a
keeping yourself limited.
CEO. Exactly. You know, and I say blatantly, if you Google me, I say CEO. I really take this shit seriously. You know,
Right.
like
As
founder and CEO. Yeah, exactly. And those are powerful words. Trust me,
powerful.
dude, the first 3 months when I first started videos or when I started putting that on my job label and on my company, it was hard. Like I was like, I'm not a CEO. I'm not this. Like, get out of here. But the second I believed it myself, and I'm like, and now I introduce myself to all the time. I'm like CEO of my ad agency. I'm the founder owner. Like if there's a fuck up, guess whose fault it is? It's my fault.
Boom.
You know, like, yeah.
Simple.
So you have to take yourself so flippin' seriously.
You
And that's
really
what I talk about with this buyer channel, right? And there's a lot of people who just say, "Oh, I just do ads and I just work on Upwork and you know, that's it. And if I fuck up, oh, who cares? There's another client." And it's like, no, every client you get, you have to make a good impression and you have to make it right. If you mess up, or if one of my 6 coworkers under me messes up, I have to take the call. I have to make it good. I have to give a rebate, which I've done numerous times, and that's not fun. That's giving away money back, and but it makes you take it seriously, and you
100%.
have to take any service job you do.
I really like that point. Like I had like an hour before this, I had our weekly with my client Aaron, and we were talking about like conviction and how important having conviction is. So if you don't know, right, conviction is your depth of belief. And so if you don't believe in yourself as an entrepreneur, if you don't believe in your service, if you don't believe in your product, how the fuck are other people going to believe in you? If you don't believe that what you have to sell, what you have to offer, who you are is going to get them that result, it's not going to happen. You're not going to attract them, because if you don't believe it, how can they have the confidence in you to believe it? You can't.
I think we're at a good point. You've created something very unique here. And I think the fact that you're coming from this introspective that is not corrupted is amazing. What's on the roadmap? What are you doing down the road?
I was actually thinking about this on my walk today. So the vision is I want to be at a point where I have like my high ticket coaching clients, and those are basically just going to be like entrepreneurs who are really serious. I want to have like, I don't know if I want to turn DRC into this or if I want to make another school community, but I want to have another paid product where it's basically like a one-to-many, right? So it's almost like a group cohort kind of thing where you're coming in here to learn about business from me. So like that one is going to be, I turn spiritual creators into spiritual entrepreneurs. And the high ticket thing is I help entrepreneurs scale. That's the vision. I got my client today. I was like, honestly, I think I might as well just like super lock in. I got to the point where I was like kind of like still trying to get some more clients because I felt like I wanted to like hit a certain revenue goal. Like my revenue goal for July was $500, and I've made that in the first 10 days. So I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to chill. I think I'm just going to lock in on my clients. I'm like, after like these next 3 months, which are like what most of my clients are with me on for, I can use those testimonies. I can use the results. I can build another offer. And in December, I can sell that. And that can get me to, you know, that can go crazy. And so the vision is to like have that offer get me to New York City.
Well, do you have any plans once you get to New York City? I think you and I talked about it. What are you going to do there? Like, just it's the creativity? Is it the community over there? What are you looking for over there?
It's art, it's YouTube, it's filmmaking, it's business, it's everything. Yeah. Like I'm from New Jersey, so I've always known the city was, you know, a very attractive place and a very energetic place. And like the fact that I want to be around creators, I want to be around entrepreneurs, I want to build communities that are about what I'm about. I want to physically be around as many people as I can who are in that same mentality. And I think New York is that place. Is it 100%? I don't know, but it's calling me. So I got to go try it.
Thank you so much. And where can people find you?
So I am at lowercase j, lowercase c, capital DUBSS. So all caps DUBSS. If you want a quick breakdown on why my name is JC Dubs, so actually my initials are JCW, and my grandfather's nickname is T Dub. And so I was like, I kind of want to steal that. And so I added an S on the end. I was like, more than one dub, right? And then I was like, yo, it would be fire if I made the dubs all cap and I made the JC lowercase to show how proportionate my wins are. You know what I mean? And then that was taken, so I had to add another S. Origin of JC Dubs.
Well, we'll put a link at the bottom and
Awesome.
of the YouTube channel, and appreciate you, and I want to have you back. So thank you so much for attending today.
I'm super down, Yusuf. I appreciate you, brother.